study, strategy over the years and achieved the spirit of the warrior. Today is a victory over yourself of yesterday. Tomorrow is your victory over lesser men. There is a student mentality in all of us that must be tapped into. A student is resilient. A student is disciplined. It is only through discipline that you will experience the freedom of a warrior. A student never surrenders. See, the strategy is the plan. The strategy, the game plan, the plan of action, the recipe, the how must be studied before the first step is taken. I am convinced that so many of us lose because of what we were not willing to study. We must grow a discipline to deliberately investigate what we are getting ready to enter into. We must be calculated as we enter into new seasons, into new relationships. This is the road to becoming a warrior. An experienced, skilled, and calculated soldier. A fighter, a game changer, somebody who refuses to stay down. This is somebody who is set apart from those who operate in the realm of normalcy. This is somebody who is above and beyond. We got a bit of a work ethic to go after it. A student is a disciple, and a disciple is disciplined. Disciplined to achieve the spirit of the warrior. They are perfectly positioned for victory daily. Discipline is an invitation out of normalcy. A man who studies is a man who is allergic to average. So you are a warrior, and you don't even know it. Take a deep breath. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. After today, everything is about to change. Because change starts with you. To understand this is to know the difference between men and lions.
What it do, everybody? It's your boy King Kurt Live, and we are back at it again for a very special Head Nerds in Charge in conjunction with Wibo. We are having a rare opportunity to sit down and talk a little bit about not only finances, but how you, the small business, can become big business. Or if you just have an idea or a concept, if you're a comic book creator, if you're an artist, if you're a creative, you cosplayers out there, we constantly get questions about how do you monetize? How do you get sponsorship? How do you build a brand and develop something that you can start to do what you love as your regular full-time job, as opposed to using your full-time job to fund what you love? Well, we got a rare treat today, boy. I can tell you this right now. I have had the opportunity to sit down and talk with this gentleman at length, and the wealth of knowledge that he holds is invaluable. But guess what? He's giving it to you on pennies on the dollar today. Because he said, please don't say pennies. Not pennies. At least give me some nickels and some quarters. But we get the opportunity to sit down with Wibo CEO, Steven Jackson. And Steven, I just want to thank you for taking the time to come out today.
Oh, my pleasure, Kurt. Thanks for having me on. I love that intro. I'm going to have to steal that intro for my Wibo Warriors program. Man.
It's all yours, baby. It's all yours. It's Wibo ready.
That had me ready to battle.
Listen, I saw the samurai picture in the background. I said, you know what? That's a brother that appreciated a nice little Warriors intro.
Well, my basketball coach in high school, I was 16 years old. He made all of us read The Art of War. And that book has been in my staple. I still have a copy of it. I still read it regularly. About every 6 months when I'm getting ready to launch a project or start a business, I go into The Art of War. Because business is a form of warfare.
Brother, listen, we talk about anime battles and superhero fights.
Yeah.
No, when you trying to start business, especially now because there are so many convention owners and new conventions that are popping up.
Yeah.
And not only geek culture, but Black nerd culture and just pop culture as a whole is so huge for profits and marketing. And there's so many things that a lot of people are doing every single day that they don't realize they could turn into a regular business.
Yes, I see this across basically anything that people love as culture. So about back in 2012, I started running, training to run marathons. And once again, a large Black culture of individuals began to also start running. A Black running organization started to come out. I started one, several other people started others.
Mhm.
And once again, though, how do we monetize that? How do we not just, keep paying race directors and everybody else to do something that we enjoy doing? So now you're starting to see more Blacks getting to the business of racing, right? They're producing their own races. They're producing their own equipment to measure racing. They're creating their own lines of clothing, shoes, running gear. And that's what you want to do. That's when you start to really have more control over the outcome as opposed to just pouring money outside of your community. So I'm definitely loving to see this happen with definitely with the Black nerd and geek culture. I'm an OG, original geek.
I know that's right.
That's right.
OG, triple OG.
I love everything geek. I'm big into comics, anime. I grew up reading Marvel comics back when it was 10 cents. Yeah, I'm gonna give away my age.
Listen, look, you saw me take a step back. I said, well, they were about $1. I'm 82, so they was about $1.02 by the time they got to my era.
Yeah, I remember when the first Giants came out at 50 cents. They used to come out every June. We'd be out there in front of the comic book store waiting for them to come out, the Giant issue. So that's how far back I go into comic books, loving everything about it. I love science. I was always into science. My degree is in computer science, comp sci. So I love everything science and definitely geek. And I've been to a number of San Diego Comic Cons. I'm looking forward now
Shangri-La.
Yes, it was. But I gotta give props to New York Comic Con because they have risen and came a long way. I actually attended the first New York Comic Con, have fun, and then like I said, San Diego was the Shangri-La, but New York has now grown to the point where you don't even need to go to San Diego anymore because most of the stuff that happens in San Diego is going to come to New York. Maybe not all the panels, But, yeah. So, but I'm looking forward to seeing the Black cons grow. And those audiences are monetized. Yes, it was on the show last night.
I'm about to say, you see now, Stephen, you had the rare opportunity to sit down and listen to two Black convention owners.
Yes,
talk and discuss the. How do I put this? The pitfalls and pluses.
They talked about their pain, and the interesting thing about it, I understood their pain because my last company, we produced national concert tours, so I know what their pain felt like, and I would love to have a private sit down with them because I have a lot of knowledge that I would share with them. I understood when he said he, negotiating with the hotels. Yeah, we negotiate with hotels all the time. But if I'm paying you, you're going to provide me a specific amount of service. I take my business elsewhere, especially if I'm giving you a block of rooms.
Listen,
that's what most hotels want.
We're going to work that out.
They want a room guarantee. They want all this other stuff. Well, you want some stuff. I want some concessions too. And it's about when you have to really be brave enough to enter negotiations. You got to, everything is negotiable. But if you don't ask, you just take what they throw at you. I was kind of disturbed when he said that the hotel wouldn't do a security sweep. I mean, I had every hotel we stayed at, when we have artists come in, hotels did a security sweep, because they're groupies and other individuals want to make sure they're not there, they're pulled out. So when you say that the hotel would not do a security sweep to protect the attendees, that's a big no-no to me. Because people want to be safe in public places. They got to feel safe. Security is not something that you want to leave to volunteerism either. So you think about us managing security in 24 or 30 different cities, but it was necessary.
Right.
because first of all, these were liquor tours, so people are drinking alcohol.
Oh, you better have some security. I can
Yes,
tell you that.
you know,
Especially if I'm there. If I'm drinking, yeah, you double the
yeah,
security. I'm a big guy.
and probably about the 7 years of producing these concert tours, I think I only seen 2 fights.
Oh,
One
okay.
was in New Orleans, and there
Of,
was one
that sounds about right.
family one. The artist got into beef with some other people, and another one was in Oakland, and it wasn't really a fight. This guy grabbed a female by her hair and snatched her, and one of the guys just kind of gently walked up and escorted him out. Um, but no major things. But once again, that's because of security and making sure that people can feel safe.
Well, you know what? That's one of the things that people just assume should happen.
Yeah,
And people should, and a lot of times people go into businesses not knowing the full totality of what they're getting into. Would you agree?
correct. Oh yes, you have an idea, a concept, a dream, and you start it right, and you don't. If you haven't, many of us haven't. Even myself, when I started my company, I didn't have any, business training or anything. I was into sales and marketing, was really doing well selling insurance, but I didn't have any real true business training. So you
Right.
go out there, if you just jump out there and you take your concept and you get a crew together and you start your company, you can make a lot of mistakes. And an unfortunate side of this is that when you're small and growing, mistakes can cost you a lot of money. Or as my attorney would tell me, she said, I am less expensive when you talk to me before you do something than after. She said, I'm $150 an hour to talk to me before you do something. She said, but if you go ahead and do it and I have to fix it, then it's $225 an hour. And I would guarantee that I will not fix it in 1 hour.
Ooh.
So,
Listen,
so this is that advice that you start.
I'm in the wrong business.
This is the advice that you start to get. You start to think about, how do you minimize the mistakes? How do you create a serious playbook? And that's what I was able to find. So, when I had my business concept, I found this organization called the Workshop and Business Opportunities back in 1991. It was like $49 for the workbook, and it was a 16-week workshop.
Mm-hmm.
And, I sat there for 16 weeks and dealt with everything from marketing to sales to break-even analysis, how to make a profit, how to understand what my stuff would cost, what everything would cost me, how to hire people, how to deal with credit, how to understand what my cash flow will look like. And at the end of that, I was like, okay, I feel a lot better now. Now, that doesn't stop the mistakes, but at least the mistakes are a lot smaller. They're not the type of mistakes that, spent several $1,000s and went down the wrong road to realize that you're not prepared, and that's what that's what that workshop did for me. And I'm so glad that here in 2018, I became the CEO of this organization after, building companies and selling companies, and created my little running club back in 2013 and ran that for 5 years, and that was fun itself. But this mission that I'm on now, I thought that the running club would be like my last mission, to help people, especially our people, gain and maintain a healthy lifestyle,
Right.
Because health is wealth, right?
Agreed.
And I think it was good. But I think this mission I'm on now with the Workshop and Business Opportunities, Wibo, is the ultimate mission, because no matter how healthy we become, there's so many barriers to us becoming wealthy in our communities, and that's what we are all about. We're about teaching people in underserved communities how to build and grow profitable businesses. We're about reigniting the spark on Main Street. We're about creating new Black Wall Streets, and we're definitely about ending that prison to pipeline loop. So that is our mission. Very, very clear and concise. And anyone who has a vision, a dream, an idea, and got a few nickels and stuff to rub together, we would love to teach them. Now, actually, we don't teach. We'd love to have facilitating conversations on how they can start and grow a profitable business, no matter what your hustle is. We're not here to tell you that your idea is not going to fly. It doesn't look good enough. It's not sexy enough. We don't do that. We get on your team. That's our number one goal, to get on your team and do everything we can to help you put together a solid business idea and execute it, not waiting for someone to fund you, not waiting for you to get that, go out and write a 40-page business plan and then go look for money. No, we're gonna show you every week what you can do to get closer, take a step closer to launching your business. We're about executing. At the end of these 10 or 16 weeks, we want you to execute, not just sit on the sidelines.
I love it. So let's talk a little bit about you, because you mentioned earlier about your businesses. Exactly who is Mr. Steven Jackson? I mean, I know the CEO, but who is the man at heart?
I'm a geek, first of all.
I already like you.
That's my first thing. I am a geek. Like I said, I loved everything science. I was a big reader. I did play college basketball. I played, 2 years at Wichita State. I got a college basketball scholarship. But I love science. Everything in geek and technology was my thing. I came back to New York City in my sophomore year and attended City College and worked on my computer science degree. But the interesting thing was that I found myself in sales. First in Macy's junior department shoe store, making commissions, and I saw what commission sales like. I was like, whoa, you can make extra money, and I began to love, and that's when I began to really study selling. And I was actually one day I was sitting on a train reading a book, How to Master the Art of Selling by I forget his last name. But I'm reading this book, and this gentleman gives me his card. He's a recruiter for Equitable Life Insurance. And that was my seriously big break when I joined Equitable Life Insurance and really understood how powerful a tool insurance is for generating wealth.
Yeah.
So was making very good money selling insurance and was enjoying it. And then I came across this concept. I saw these two guys from Wall Street. They had gotten $250,000 from an angel investor.
Wait a minute, you're talking about $250,000, like $250,000.
$250,000. They had
That's big money.
They got that in cash to start a business, and the business was an employee leasing business, something that was brand new in the industry. But it was based on the concept of if you have small businesses. Well, I would say small businesses. They went after the wrong market, but it was about a company would basically fire their employees. They would hire them, and they would be responsible for the human resource management, the payroll, and the benefits. And what that would do is that it would absolve the small business owner having to do all this paperwork, because unfortunately, small businesses have more paperwork to file than large corporations.
Right.
Also, small businesses are not able to provide the large group benefits that larger corporations can provide. But if you start to pool all these employees together, you can start to get the large group benefits. So these guys took $250,000 and they went out and they got office space, brochures, receptionist. President had a $50,000 a year salary. VP had $35,000.
Ooh, that's nice.
And as I always tell every workshop class and they had everything but a client.
They had everything but income coming in, huh?
No income coming in, and they went through that $250,000 in 6 months. 6 months, they out of money. And I'm talking to Andrew Geller. He was the gentleman who gave them the money. He actually met him a couple of times. And he said, well, he was worth like $15 million. So he said that $250,000 was a tax write-off for him. He said, but these guys, they got mortgages. They got to go back to work. You got to find a job. They got to do something else.
The ride's over. And
I'm talking to the president, and I told him, my opinion was that he was chasing the wrong market. Well, he was going after large law firms and accounting firms that had like 50 employees, 7,500 employees that had an HR department.
Right.
So he's looking to put somebody out of business so he could sell his service to them. And I thought that this was better for small business owners who have maybe 10 employees, 20 employees, don't have an HR department, or doctor's offices. That became my niche market, that only had an office manager that was doing everything. The office manager was, she handled the calendar, she handled the accounts receivable, the accounts payable, the vacation. She was
all of the above.
All of the above. And she not getting home to maybe 7:00 at night. She had no time to really play with her family and stuff, and
she hate her job by now.
Yeah. So that became my market. That's what I was telling you, going after the wrong market. He told me, well, if you get $250,000, you do what you want to do as far as what market you want to go after. And I was like, that's like a challenge.
He was like, are you asking or telling?
that's like a challenge. So I quit my job selling insurance, much to the dismay of some people, because there's always some people who are going to think that no, you shouldn't do that. That's crazy. You need to keep a job. Why you want to start a business? 3 out of 5 business. I mean, they could tell you all the horror stories about every failed business, from the time that the Flintstones was running companies,
Yabba dabba do.
Yeah. So people have a great concept of being able to project their fears onto other people when they feel, and they think that they're doing this to protect you, but really they're not. So I forged ahead. I learned about the workshop because, the one thing about the universe is whatever you're seeking, it's going to provide it to you. Okay. Whatever you're focusing on life, that's what you're going to start to manifest. So I'm focused on starting this business. Don't really know where to start. Don't know nothing about really running the business. I know I need an education, quick, fast, and whatever. Don't want to go to college to do that. And
I like that part. Yeah.
Yeah. And I found out about the workshop and business opportunities. I took the workshop. The founder, Walter Geyer, who started the workshop back in 1966. I remember him at the first orientation, and I was hooked. I'm like, yeah, I'm in the right place. And I struggled through it. It was some of those, it was tough. It was homework every week. It required me to research. Fortunately, I didn't have the internet, so I was in the library,
Lord.
going through books.
No Google to help you, huh?
No Google to help me. I'm in the library, hours in the library doing research, market research, trying to figure who my market is going to be. Then researching what little competitors I could find. And then we get to that part that just about every Wibo graduate talks about, and it's called break-even analysis or MAP, making a profit. Those 3 lessons are the lessons that kicks us in our behind, because at that time, you have to start to figure out why your competitors are charging what they charge, what's the value that they charge, and what's the value that you're going to bring to the table. Because remember, people will purchase from you because they feel that you're the best one to solve a problem. Money don't get exchanged unless you're improving somebody's lives or you're solving their problem, right? Mm-hmm. So you got to figure out. Then the next class is I got to figure out what everything is going to cost me. So there's 2 types of cost. There's the cost of I have to pay this money every month, regardless if I have 1 sale or 1,000 sales. Right. And then there's also the cost of the sale. That means when you make a sale, there's some cost involved in it. Like if I sell an ice cream cone, right, there's a cost of that cone, and there's a cost of the flavor of the ice cream. Now, the more ice cream I sell, the more cones I have to buy, and the more ice cream I have to buy. So there's a cost of this to make that sale. I have to figure that out. Then the third lesson is like, okay, now I got to figure out what I'm going to charge and how can I charge to make sure that I'm profitable. Because you don't want to just break even. Break even means you didn't lose money, but you didn't make any money. You want to be profitable, because profitable will create growth. And that's what
I've noticed that that's a big issue, especially for a lot of small, but they don't know how to price their services in a way that makes them, let alone just keep the business going, but just keep them happy.
Well, pricing becomes a personal matter to them, because now they start to put their worth. Too often people put their worth into their pricing. So they think I'm only worth this much. And I ask a question all the time. I say, do you think that because you're new in business that you can't charge what your competition charges? Right. And that goes right to saying just how worthy you really feel. We're talking about you providing a service or a product, not your personal worth. You are worthy because you're able to solve a problem and probably solve it better than maybe 60% of your competitors out there.
Right.
But if you don't put worth, so then you come, and then we also have other, and this is mostly for the women. Women are nurturers. Thank God for that. But when it comes to business, sometimes the want to nurture versus wanting to be profitable becomes a conflict in them. Mm-hmm. They don't want to charge too much because they want to, save the neighborhood, and I understand that, and I have to sometimes we have this hard conversation about, do you want to be a social worker or an entrepreneur? Or do you want to run a social enterprise where but you have to be profitable? There's nothing wrong with being profitable, being successful, and then giving back.
Right.
But you can't help anyone if you're not helping yourself.
Very true.
So if you're not pricing your product and you're losing money and you're barely you're barely eking out a living, how are you helping your community? So there's nothing wrong with, at this point in time, to be profitable and to go and to grow a profitable business. Okay. It's nothing wrong with running $1 million business. We're at least making 6%, 8% profit margin. Okay.
But you've ran $1 million businesses too, as well.
Yes. It doesn't mean that I was making $1 million.
If it
interesting.
was.
So here's a, I always have to tell people this. I never took a 6-figure salary out of the company that I built. Didn't need to. I owned a business. I could write a bunch of other stuff off. So there was no need for me to figure I need to take a 6-figure salary. I need to take this salary. I was, made 60, 75,000 out. It took care of my lifestyle,
Right.
And I didn't need to say I need to have a lot of cash. Owning a business allows you to do a lot. There's a lot more freedom it's like owning a home.
Right.
You own a home, you got a lot more freedom you can do than rent. There's equity in the home. There's equity in the business. Gotcha. That's the purpose of ownership. That's why ownership is so important in this country. And unfortunately, we as Black people, African Americans, whatever you want to call yourself, just remember that we were redlined out of creating wealth in this country. However, that was the past. We now have the tools and the opportunity to turn that around. Okay. Yes. After World War II, yes, we could not get those good GI loans and get some of those homes. There's a town in Long Island, Livingston, right? Where it's right there on the books. Houses were going for $9,000, $10,000, but they were not selling them to Negroes.
Steve, we got a question from the comments. So when it comes to pricing, where does the statement "nothing personal, strictly big business" come into play?
It comes into play when you're sitting there and you have figured out, what your costs are, what it costs you to make this product, what it costs you to deliver this product or service, right? And then you're starting to say, okay, if it costs me $10, right, I need to at minimum charge $10.01. Right. That's the minimum. But then you also got to figure out that there may be some other ancillary things that, things do happen in business. So you don't want to just charge $10.01. You may find yourself want to charge $10.99. But then you also want to look at what your competition is charging, because if your competition is all charging around between $13 and $15, you want to find yourself somewhere in there. You don't want to say, I want to come in as the lowest guy. I want to be the lowest, person, charging for my product or service, because I can tell you right now, you always will have a larger competitor that can undercut you. So you don't win on cutting your price on being the lowest person in the lowest price, selling at the lowest price. You're going to be successful by providing the best value. So that's what you want to take into consideration, your value that you're providing, with the value of this product or service. That's when it's all business. Now, you're not thinking about your personal feelings, or, you're thinking about, this is what I deliver. I deliver this at a great value. The clientele, the customer is going to be highly pleased with it. It's going to solve their problem. It's going to make them want more of it. And this is why I'm selling for this price. People will buy what they want. We all do. At times, we don't think about price. We want it bad enough, we'll figure out a way to purchase it. Okay, so it's not about the price all the time. It's about what you perceive as the value for that. Okay, so it's like you take any product, right? Let's say I got this nice ink drawing of a samurai warrior on my wall, right?
Right.
So there's a value that I would pay for that drawing, right? And say if the artist said this will cost you $500, okay, ink drawing, you're doing it yourself, I would pay it. Understand the value. Now, if it's another artist come to me and say, well, this is going to cost you $10,000, I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, I'm about to say, did he paint it in gold? That's what I need to know. Like,
right. So you understand, we put a value to what we think something is worth, and that's what you begin to discover when you're going through the workshop, through those 3 classes, about understanding how to price your product and services, understanding what it's going to cost you to deliver their product or service, and understanding what your competition value is on what they're providing. And then we're going to get you to think about what's going to be your differential advantage. What's going to make you better than your competition? Why would people buy from you and not your competitors? And that's that's difficult. It takes time, takes energy.
There's another good one, Stephen. How can I properly assess and value a unique service?
Well, that's basically going through what we just said. You got to go through these processes. You just can't pull some numbers out the sky. You have to, once again, look at what your competition is doing, what they're charging, what their value is. You got to figure out what your costs are going to be. Direct costs mean those are costs tied to the sales. Indirect costs, those are costs that are tied to running the business. And then when you have those two pieces, those information, then you can start to figure out what you're going to be able to put a value and cost on. Okay. But it's a process. And for us, we're the only workshop in the country that goes through this 3-week process, 9 hours. Actually, it's more than 9 hours. It's actually because it's more like 15 hours of just understanding how to be profitable, because that is the title of this workbook and the title of our workshop, how to build a profitable, growing profitable company.
Well, he appreciated that answer.
Nope. Glad he did.
Set up a shout out. So now we have another one. How do we determine the value of products? Different things are valued by different individuals.
That's when you understand who your target market is. Okay. So the first lesson that we start off with is marketing research, uncovering who is going to be the market for what it is that you're selling. And then you want to identify who is that ideal customer, the person that has that want, need, desire, and would see the benefit of what it is that you're selling. So so the first thing we have to get people to understand is that everybody's not your customer. Everybody's not your market. There's no corporation in this country, in this world right now that's marketing to everybody. Okay. They target specific markets, and you get buyers from other markets coming in, but they're targeting energies at specific markets. Some of those markets may have lesser income, some of those markets may have higher income. That's the difference between a Lord & Taylor and a Walmart.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
Right?
I done got draws from both. I could
tell
you
excuse me, you're 100% correct.
Dude, that's a good one. You make somebody snort laugh, that's when you know you got them. Stephen, I'm clipping that one just so you know. I got you a snort laugh.
You're gonna keep that one. I'm sorry, but I never got no Lord & Taylor underwear. Actually, I worked in Lord & Taylor selling with women's shoes.
I don't even know if Lord & Taylor got draws, but that was a good one regardless.
That was a good one. This is what you have to go through. So you when you figure out who your target market is, then you can figure out how much is the value, because you know what they're spending on your competitors' products. So now you get an idea of what they would probably spend on what it is that you're offering.
Okay.
So, and that's interesting. Also, the interesting thing about the target marketing is that sometimes people will go after the lowest market because they don't want to put their product, too expensive, as they would say in their mind. Once again, that's a mental shift. There is nothing wrong with going after an upscale market, or people have more money. It don't have to, doesn't have to be people in your community. I built 3 companies, and people in my community would never been my customers, because I was always going after I always sold to other businesses. I always had B2B businesses that, I was always a B2B company.
Right.
Okay. So, and even as a B2B company, you had to be making a certain amount in sales per year for you to be to even get close to my target list. Okay. So I broke it down, and I do this when we do the workshop. We have a way of breaking it down, help people find who their niche market is, so that they are focusing on the person who they can solve that problem, who will pay them, what the value that they're offering their product for.
Actually, that goes right to Shanae's question. What if there is no competition?
There's always competition.
All right. Well, okay.
There's direct competitors, and then there are indirect competitors. So let me break this down. I had a running club. Mm-hmm. In my running club, there were direct competitors who were other running clubs, right? They were direct competitors. Actually, even Nike and Reeboks were running with because they had running clubs as well. So Nike was my competitor. But then again, also remember, I'm working on creating helping people gain and maintain healthy lifestyle. So Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers.
Oh, look. Everybody that's trying to make
every personal trainers.
Yeah.
They also are my indirect competitors, but they are competition.
Now, mind you, but what if you do?
Now, as you say, you make custom African American wigs, which are very hard to come by. How would you range? So here's the first thing I'm going to tell you is that if you're making wigs targeted to the African American market, you have competition. I got a graduate. She graduated in 2019. Young lady who was a hairdresser who also did custom wigs. I know a hairdresser who during the pandemic started making wigs for her customers because she couldn't do their hair. Okay. So
kept it simple, huh?
Yeah. So that's how she pivoted her business. So during the shutdown, the pandemic, she couldn't do her customers' hair. So what she was doing for them, she was making them wigs, and her customer base was African American.
That's actually not. That's actually a really
So
good idea.
it kept her afloat, it kept her in business, it kept her, and it actually created a new market for her. The ability to now say, okay, you can't come to me, but I got this wig for you so that you don't look so busted up when you're doing a Zoom interview.
Zoom. Everybody was on Zoom looking tight, boy.
Yes,
my beard was looking scraggly for a while.
Yeah, so that's pretty much. Yes, yeah. African American hair products is a very competitive market, definitely. So if you're thinking that you don't have any competition, I can tell you do. Somebody is doing something very similar to what you've been doing. The ideas are out there floating. Always someone starting a business. I have come across, and I've been a volunteer with the workshop for 15 years before becoming CEO. So I have seen a lot of business ideas and concepts, and they all over the place. So,
well, see that takes me to our next question, because you said you become a volunteer. Now you're officially the CEO. What is Wibo? I mean, what is this program?
The Workshop and Business Opportunity is an entrepreneurial workshop that was created in 1966 by Walter Guy and Mal Wolfer. Walter Guy and his wife Joan were watching the news, they saw what millions of white Americans saw for the first time, how blacks was treated who just wanted civil rights. And Walter's response to it was not to protest. His response was that he felt that until we achieve economic power, got off the bottom of the economic ladder, could we be successful? Could we have vibrant communities? So he and his wife challenged him to, because he had experience in writing training manuals. He was a sales trainer. He had that experience. So she challenged him with creating a program, because the government didn't have a program like this. When he went to the library, there was no books in the library on how to be an entrepreneur, how to start a business when he was doing his research. And we talk about 1966. So he got another 11 other gentlemen to work with him to create this workbook. And they did the first workshop in the Harlem YWC on 125th Street on March 1st, 1966. And that was the beginning of the Workshop and Business Opportunities. For the past 55 years, we have had approximately closing in on 19,000 people graduate from our workshop. Our workbook has been translated into Mandarin. It was taught on mainland China for a while. It's been taught in Tibet. It's been taught in Bulgaria. It's been taught on Indian reservations. It's been translated to Spanish a couple of times. We're translating it again back into Spanish for the upcoming fall season, because we have 2 Spanish cohorts that we'll be running. And at one time, in Walter's own words, he actually was teaching the workshop to the Black Panthers in New York City before they got arrested. And I was very big and involved in as a younger teenager, really following the trains of the Black Panthers.
I was about to say, you ain't wanted everybody to know, but look.
That was me at 12, 13 years old. That's the path I was going down. That's why when I was 13 that summer, I was in Philadelphia with my grandmother, not in New York City. My mother like, yeah, you get a little bit too big, your bread. I'm gonna send you to stay with your grandmother. But
keep you out of trouble.
I always, I could dream about what it would have been like if the Black Panthers had the knowledge of the Workshop and Business Opportunities, what this country would have been like. It's a great dream, but that was the case. But the thing about it is that this workshop is highly successful. 90% of our people who take this workshop have been referred by people who have graduated from the workshop. We have business owners who have been in business for 20, 25, 30 plus years.
Let me see. There's another question. Being as though
So I'm gonna stop and answer this question. Excuse me, but money is always being made. Money is made in good times. Money is made in bad economy. If you notice, you've seen that Amazon and several other companies that have some of their best quarters ever during this pandemic. We've seen some outlandish sales being done. People have not stopped spending money. Those stimulus checks did not go into the bank. They didn't go into 501c.
No.
They not go 401ks.
They went into Jeff Bezos' pocket.
That's why he was thanking everybody after he touched down on the ground. He's like, thank you. Your dollars added up. But no, on a serious note, It doesn't matter. Matter of fact, a majority of successful businesses were started during recessions. Recessions is actually a great time to start a business because things are cheaper. Companies want to negotiate with you. They're willing to negotiate with. They're willing to create, give you other incentives to do business with them. Even during this pandemic, we saw some interesting things happen. So usually, if you was all opening up, or say you was opening up a restaurant, you signed a lease. Your rent is due the next month. Even though you have to build out the restaurant and do all kind of renovation, you may not open up to another 3 months, but you're paying 3 months worth of rent.
Right.
Why I saw instances where some businesses was able to negotiate and not pay any rent until the doors actually opened.
So honestly, right now, during this time of the pandemic, true, things are opening up again, but this is a prime time to start actually trying to build your dream.
There is the best time to build your dreams, the moment that you have and you conceive it and you're ready to execute. There is no perfect time to launch a business. There is no perfect time to do anything, but the moment that you have it, you only have control of this moment. You have to choose to be in the now. You don't know what's going to happen 6 months or a year from now. So if you want to execute your business, there's no waiting for a perfect time. There's no waiting for the stars to align. It's getting out there and executing. Engine action follows thought. So if you put enough thought and enough energy into it, your actions are going to dictate what's going to happen.
How should a new entrepreneur handle the rejection from their family, neighbors, and friends when they choose to patronage other ethnic groups who outprice them?
Man, what I want to say, I can't say.
And I'm being good because this isn't the Wednesday night show. So
this is not the Wednesday.
This is not the Wednesday night show. So Stephen, I'm actually really interested in how you tactfully answer this question.
So here's my thing. The first thing is, why are you building a business for your family and neighbors and friends? You should be building a business that's going for a specific target market. I think too often we get locked up why our friends and family don't support it. They go support someone else. And first of all, we culturally, we were not taught to do those things. So when some people blame integration and some people blame other things, but culturally, we was always spoon fed that there was another group of individuals who sold products better than what we were built to do. But I'm gonna get away from that. The first thing I would tell you is that why are you building a business for such a small market? Okay, so how many friends, neighbor, and family do you think is going to help you build $1 million business? You should be focusing your business on your target market, and that your target market may not be your friends and family. As I said, companies I built was not for my friends and family. Just wasn't. They were not my market. They did not own $1 million companies, so I was not selling to them. So I wouldn't put any energy in that. Don't put any energy into that because where people choose to spend their money is up to them. If they don't see the value of what you're offering, they don't see the value of what you're don't beat yourself up over it. Find the people who do see the value of what you're offering and sell to them. Don't focus on what you don't have and who won't rock with you, who won't spend money with you. Focus on people who are willing to spend money with you and put your energy in there and make them your brand ambassadors. Give them the great customer service so that they will referring you to all their friends.
That's it. Listen, that right there, you giving out jewels. That's the game plan right there, baby. All right.
Yeah.
So there's the question of, how do you
wait a minute? She can call me up anytime and ask that.
But this is a good time to ask. This is actually a good time to ask. How does Wibo help people navigate a crowded market?
So you navigate a crowded market by being better, by finding that one thing or finding something that somebody else is not doing well that you can gravitate in. So, in honest, basically most of the markets that we are going into are always going to be crowded in some instance. So, say your gift is doing hair, and you're going to open up a salon. You want to put a salon. You want to put a group of salons. That's a crowded market. What is going to be your differential advantage? That one thing that you do that your competition who cannot do without having to spend time and money and energy to replicate it. That's a differential advantage.
Right.
That's not just say I'm have my staff is going to smile more. That's not a differential advantage. A differential advantage is when you come up with a new way of doing someone's hair, or a more efficient way of doing someone's hair, or you got a product, like and was the movie Beauty Shop, where she had, she had her own little line of product that was really good.
She done flipped the salon into a whole hair care business.
Yeah, so that's what you begin to do. And then, so what I also challenge you to do is ask yourself, what business are you in? I think too often people get confused because they think they're in one business when they're not. So I'm going to go back to my little running club. So when I would talk about my running club, and, the focus of the running club was to use running as a way for people to gain and maintain a healthy lifestyle. So people would think that we're in the fitness business, but we weren't. We're in the lifestyle business. Because for people to gain and maintain a healthy lifestyle, that is a lifestyle change. So I did not look at myself as a fitness company. I looked at myself as a lifestyle business. You see, and that's what has to happen. Even in, so the first thing, if you answer that question and you really answer to the way that you see where your competitors are, and you understand what line of business that you're in, now you can understand how you're going to compete in that crowded market. You're gonna understand. You'll be able to find your niche, and you may find that your competitors may be overlooking. So let's take a look. Take a look at Nike, right? And I have some insight because I have a daughter who works for Nike. So here's the thing that happens: Nike doesn't seem to have a lot of focus on women athletes. That's where two other companies have now stepped in. Athlethia, right, and a couple other companies have now stepped into that market of servicing women athletes. And now we've seen some high-profile women athletes now go and are now getting sponsorship from those smaller companies. It's about finding your niche. Now, you want to talk about the athletic company? Yeah, it's a crowded market between Nike and Reeboks and Adidas and Champion and everybody else. But you have some new players who found a niche, women,
right?
And they said, "Hey, these big guys are not servicing the women market the way it should be," and that's where they found their entry, and that's where they're getting there.
Yep. We have a question. I have an issue with writing and editing quick enough to make my brand grow. What tips do you have when it comes to quick production with quality products?
Outsource it. So here's the thing, and this is something we talk about in business. I wrote an article, maybe about 6-7 years ago, and it's called DIY, the Small Business Killer. Too often, small business owners feel that they're saving time and money by doing it themselves, and that's not necessarily the case. If this is what you're doing on a regular basis, not bring you income in, then why are you doing it? Why won't you outsource to someone who is better? I mean, if that is if your thing is writing and editing and you're really great at it, then continue doing it. Just figure out a way of who you're targeting your editing and writing to. But it is not your thing. If you make a CBD product or something like that, and that's where your strength is, and when you sell it, then that's what you need to be doing more of, and less of the stuff that do not bring in income. So I'll give you a case and example. Let's take bookkeeping, one of my favorite things, because I hate financial data. I detest bookkeeping. So as a small business owner, you go out, you buy a copy of QuickBooks, that's going to cost you about $300. I don't know how to use it. Now I got to I got to learn how to use it. So now I may spend another $1,000 taking lessons at $100 a pop to learn how to use QuickBooks. I already spent $1,300 on something that I'm going to do maybe once a month that brings in no income. I ain't gonna get a bookkeeper for 3 quarters for that amount to come in, for $1,300. I can get a bookkeeper who will show up once a month for maybe 4 or 5 months at that same, for that, for that entire $1,300. Not only that, there's those 13 hours plus that I have spent learning something that I could have been utilizing to grow my business. Okay. That's where, that's the difference. So if you're spending time writing and editing and it is not your strength, find your good intern. I would tell you right now, Wibo has an intern. She's my granddaughter, but she got A's in her advertising and marketing class. So I brought her on as an intern, a paid intern now. Mm-hmm. Yes, a paid intern to do our social media. She's been doing a great job of it. So my thing is, like I said, if it's not your strength, and that's one of the things we talk about in Wibo. What are your strengths that you can capitalize on, and what are the weaknesses that you either can do one or two things? You either get the knowledge to overcome it, or you outsource it in a situation where there's someone better who can do it. And you can always sometimes maybe outsource by bartering. Everything that had to be, you pay for everything up front with cash. You can barter. I bartered for services when I was growing my first company. There are barter services out there. There are other ways, there's other resources to get out there and to grow. If you want to do if you want to create cosplayers for costumes for other people, yes, that's a business. And I would encourage you to take the workshop. To figure out who's going to be your market, how you're going to market yourself to them, what's going to, how you're going to create, what type of lines you're going to create. You may just want to do create cosplay for women or for men or for children. You're going to define who your market is, right? You're going to find how long it's going to take you to put a piece together for them, so you can figure out how much you're going to charge. Because then you also have to remember one thing we talk about: your time is money. If you spend 10 hours creating a piece, then it's your time plus the materials. That you also have to take into when you're charging them for that piece. So, once again, you want to make sure that you're going after the market that's going to be able to afford what it is that you're selling. So if you're doing a piece and that piece is going to cost $600 to do, right? So you want to target people who can have the discretionary income to pay $600 for a cosplay piece that they're going to wear, at a couple of times a year to different cons around the country.
All right. Listen. I see you guys getting ready. The conversation is getting good. We're going to take a quick break to give you a little bit of love, and we'll be right back at it.
I'm going to say something to you. It takes courage to be exceptional. It takes courage to be wise. It takes courage to be rich. It takes courage to be educated. It takes courage to be knowledgeable, because the moment you do, but you don't talk like, you forgot where you came from. Look at you talking. It takes courage. And I'm just wondering, in this weak, watered down, mediocre society that we live in today, in this reality TV world we live in today, I'm wondering if there's anybody left that's got the courage to say, after all I've been through, and all my ancestors have been through, and all my parents have been through, I didn't come through all of that just to fit in with normalcy. I have the courage to go after my dream. Is there a woman left in this entire Coliseum that's got some courage?
Wow, Kurt, you got me wanting to sign up for Wibo.
Listen, look, brother, I'm just saying, because there's certain things that hinder all of us from taking that leap. My own quick personal story, I always have been a geek, same as you, Stephen, like day one. I always loved the culture. And I was afraid to actually jump out here and start our podcasting, our show, had I not had the courage to just simply take the first step. Because usually that first step is the beginning of so much.
Yes.
And when you have an opportunity like this one, like, don't get it twisted. I know for a fact there are many of you right now who are watching this and you're not saying nothing, you're not asking the questions, and that's okay. Maybe you're not right there right now, but hopefully before the end of this, just know this is not the only info stream we're going to do. We're actually going to do multiple ones throughout August and September. That's how strongly I believe in this, because without that base of wealth and financial building and taking, I am such a firm believer of, I no longer want to work for anyone else, because now I know what it's like to be able to work for myself. And I put in hours. Trust me, I put in an absorbent amount of hours, but I'm doing something that I love to do. So I have never once felt like I was working. And that seems cliche, but genuinely, someone told me recently, like, Kurt, you're going to work yourself to death, when they don't realize that I am the most alive when I'm working on my dream.
Mm-hmm.
So that word of courage, that question of, do you have the courage? That's all on you. And when you get the answer to that question, you come on over to Wibo. We'll work it out. We got love in the chat talking about church. You know we're gonna start preaching a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah, we're gonna get a little bit of it. Well, you're 100% correct. Run the business, especially a business that you're passionate about, using the gifts that the universe has given to you. So I have a theory. I haven't really talked about. I do talk about it. Everyone on this planet has entrepreneurial DNA within them. And I say that because each and every one of us is born with a gift. We have gifts, we have talents, we have some skill set that we can trade for income. That is how civilization began. Somebody was good with tools, somebody was good with animals, somebody was good with plants for healing, and they trade those things for other things that they needed to live and survive and grow. And that was entrepreneurship. That was business. And then somebody was trained someone else to come work for them, and that was the beginning of employees. So is fear present in growing a business? Of course it is. Anytime you step outside your comfort zone, there's going to be fear, and your brain's number one job is to keep you safe. So it's going to do its job to bring you back to that safe zone. And that's probably why some of these conversations, your brain knows you very well, and it can become your enemy, because it's going to do what it needs to do to keep you safe. So you want to start a business, and your brain's like, no, we're not doing that. It's scary. 3 out of 5 businesses fail within 3 years. You know what happened to so-and-so down the block in his store. You know, your brain will tell you all the stories that you need to hear to stop you from going forward. And you may find yourself succumbing to those circumstances. You may think you don't have enough money. Well, here's the truth. 73% of all multi-million-dollar companies were started with less than $10,000. So many of you women probably know what Spanx is. And the young lady who created Spanx started with $5,000. That business is now $1 billion business. So think about somebody who can flip $5,000 into $1 billion, okay, just on a piece of material. That's exactly what happens. It's not about how much money you have to work with. It's about the resources that you can pull together to build your company. Okay. It is about taking that first step, find out what it is where you need to go. Hopefully, we love to have you in our program. And like I said, we're not looking to critique your business, to tell you that your business idea won't work. Well, not. We're just here to get on your team and help you grow your business. You take that business idea into an actuality, into launching. You know, everyone's going to launch a business differently. And that's the reason why we don't sit there and teach you about building a business. We are facilitating conversations based upon you completing homework assignments and talking about those homework assignments in front of your other cohorts who are in there with you. And they're going to give you insights as to how they see your business through their eyes. You see, you only have 180-degree peripheral vision. So there's 180 degrees of stuff you don't see that other people can see based upon their life experiences and their experiences with companies and other businesses and being a consumer and case like that. So they're going to bring some additional ideas that you may not have thought of. We encourage you to make as many mistakes as you want for those 10 or 16 weeks that you're in the workshop. Because the more mistakes you make in that workshop, the less mistakes you're going to make when you're actually out there running your company. You know, and the thing is that too often most small businesses do not have the resources to survive big mistakes.
All right. Real quick, Stephen, I want to go in and change course a bit. How does building wealth help the Black community?
So, like I said, as Walter Guy knew back in 1966, what the rest of the country is now talking about, entrepreneurship is the fastest way to increase the economy of any business. This country does not run on the Walmarts and the Amazons. This country runs because of small businesses. Small businesses hire 64% of the people in this country. Mm-hmm. Walmart may be the country's largest employer, but small businesses do most of the hiring. Small businesses are the engine that runs this country. So the thing about it is that we're talking about the companies that are not sexy. They're not going to be unicorns. They're not going to have $1 billion valuation and never make a profit.
Okay.
Those are not the companies that run this, that are really, really, really the spark and engine of this country. They are your doctors, your accountants, your hairdressers, your physicians, your pharmacists, your exercise, your fitness instructors, your local gyms. Okay. Right. They're your nerd. These are the people going to be creating the next set of digital products. Those are going to be creating cosplay costumes. Those are going to be running other comic cons, other black cons. They are the people who are really creating the jobs that are employing people. Because see, we also will be employing people from our communities. So you don't just create a business. Every time you create a business, you grow a business. You're providing jobs. You're providing income. So you want to talk about taking guns off the street? You got to give young people something else to do. And if there's no job, if there's not going to be a job available that they want to go into because it's paying less than minimum wage, then teach them how to run a business. Because now if they can run their own business, they're thinking less about sticking somebody up because they know they can make more paper just by selling something legally. Got to throw that out there.
You see, I had to hit the high point on that one, boy. That you. Yes, please keep.
So if you notice, crime goes down when the economy is up, when there's more jobs and more people bringing home pay, and they feel like they have a chance of this, whatever their so-called American dream looks like. You're thinking less about stealing to support your family. Most people are going out there will revert to crime because they feel there's no other way out. The reason that there is this prison loop because you come home, right? And you are forced to get a job, but people you got companies don't want to hire you because you got a record. They think the first thing they're gonna do is well, I don't want to hire you. You did whatever. They don't even know what you did, but they don't want to hire you. And now you find yourself stressed, still trying to make money and survive. Now you find yourself, right back doing whatever it was that was your first mistake. And we want to reduce that. The only way you're gonna reduce that is we give them good employment or we allow them to create their own businesses. We have what we call is actually the Gutenstein Foundation, because the Gutenstein family has been very supportive of us working with reentry individuals, and that is our main thing, to make certain that they have opportunities to create businesses as well, as opposed to having to take whatever job that will hire reentry individuals. There's a few markets that will hire them, but they're not the jobs where you're going to make it $20 an hour. You really feel that you can really grow a family, feed your family and take care of what you need to take care of. So the thing may be, you may need to start your own business. You may need to start your own digital style of business. So we are very big on providing that opportunity to them. So they attend our workshop for free, first of all, and we will help them even if they don't have access to the technology. We're going to help them with that, but our whole focus is to make certain that there is to have the opportunity, right, to build wealth within the Black community as well, because they're going to hire other individuals who just came home as well. Right. They're going to give them a shot to help them not go back. This is what we do. So when we talk about creating Black wealth, so, within the last 20 years, we started to learn about all of the Black Wall Streets. This wasn't just Tulsa, Rosewood, Florida. There's about maybe 20 other up and down the East Coast where there were thriving Black communities of doctors, dentists, pharmacists, store owners, ice cream shop owners, restaurants, and they were flourishing. And that is the focus that we want to do, because when you have a community where most of the people in that community is either employed or running a company, your services in that community is going to get better because you're paying more taxes. So the city got to respond better. If because the first thing, elected official would tell you, well, that community ain't got no power. So
how do they help us?
If you want your snow removed, a few hours after the snowstorm, what communities will get their snow removed first?
The ones that making money.
Yeah, where the mail gets delivered early in the day, not at 7:00 at night. End of the day.
No, it's very true.
Where the fire department is going to rush to get to. Where the ambulance shows up first. What? Those communities. We know those communities, and we have the ability. And it's interesting. We have to say that, but that's the way things happen to go. You have to have economic power in your community to get basic good services. But economic empowerment in your community means that people are not out there robbing and stealing because they got jobs. They're able to buy the things that they want for their family. They're able to create, and most importantly, able to create some generational wealth. That is something that we was not allowed to do. I mean, laws on the books.
Right. Some of them still on the books.
Yeah, some of them still on the books, but we could not buy homes. Our ancestors could not buy homes in certain communities because that was the law in the books. I can't sell this house to you. $9,000 house that right about now is now worth $500,000. That has funded a lot of kids going to college and a lot of businesses being started. You know, it was interesting. Someone had one time put something up on Facebook about where Larry Ellis and Bill Gates and all them started their business in the family's home garage, right? And I said, and I looked at that. I said, you know, the difference between that and us was that their families had a home with a garage for them to start a business in.
Yeah.
They had some equity to allow them to start a business. So here's the thing: just because you don't have that equity, your parents didn't have it, doesn't mean that you cannot start a business. Do not let what happened in the past stop you from creating generational wealth for your family now. And an interesting thing, the majority of the people who take our workshop will come in there to start a business. It's not about making a lot of money. They want some sort of freedom. They want to create some generational wealth. They want something to pass on to their children. I had the same ideas in my head when I started my company. Something to pass on. You know, I'm a big fan. Sylvia's Restaurant here in Harlem, New York. They were my customers were my client in the early 90s. But we're talking about 5 generations of a family now running that business. We watched them come from just running a restaurant. I remember when they did franchise. They put their first restaurant in Atlanta. I was with them for that. You now find Sylvia food products in the grocery store. I remember when Van Woods, Sylvia's son, that was his focus. He wanted to see Sylvia's in the grocery store. Their products sold in grocery store, and he made that dream come true as well. So you can start to think about it. They start off with just a small restaurant in the middle of the block where they now own almost the entire block of buildings there and have branched out into other things. And we're talking about 5 generations. That is what is available to you. That's what any of us can do. But you got to take the first. You got to take the first step.
Courage.
You got to launch. You got to get off the couch, stop dreaming, push past some of those fears, and say, "This is my dream. This is my love. You know, this is what I'm going to do."
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, she's right. The comfort zone is where dreams do die, and pushing. And you know, we're going to help you do that. So the thing about it is that we understand the mentality behind what is stopping you from doing it, from launching your business. Because I ask this question every orientation. I always ask, "What would you do if you were not afraid?" And no one answer that comes out to be, people say, I would have done this sooner. I would have launched sooner. I would have been in Wibo sooner. I would have started this sooner. So there's been some fear and circumstances that has kept you on the sidelines. And we understand that. But you're here. When you show up on that Zoom interview and you're there, we're going to be on your team. We're going to be there nudging you, helping you, you know, quieting those fears, because we know they're going to still be present. You know, fear is not going to go away once you take this workshop. And I'll be honest with you, 100%. You still got to work hard even when you graduate. So, you know, a lot of times we hear about people's success stories. And I'm going to share this because I graduated Wibo in 1992. I was a class speaker. It was actually my first time really speaking publicly in front of maybe a few hundred people. And I don't even know what I said. I know that my face felt like it was about 105 degrees. But I got through my first speaking engagement, right? And now I'm going out and I'm starting my company. And I'm going to other organizations. I'm networking. I'm doing what I can do. But my first year was horrible. You know, there was no money coming in. I mean, first I'm selling a brand new concept that no one really knows what it is. I got to teach and explain and then attempt to sell. And things was rough. And then on top of that, I was expecting my last daughter. You know, she was coming. She was about to come. That's what the universe was. I said, universe got jokes. You know, so I'm starting a business and now I got another child coming. Okay, great. Hooray. Yeah, I guess you want to give me incentive. And I was taking a walk one day and had a conversation, and I was asked, you know, how bad are things? And I said, well, things are pretty bad. Like I said, no money coming in. And next question was, well, what's the worst that can happen? And I said, well, I may have to file bankruptcy and go back to work. Wait a minute. Hold up. I don't go to prison.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not as bad as you think it is.
It wasn't, because here's the interesting thing. I was focused more on not failing than being successful. You see, I had people in my circle who wasn't going to support me. Didn't think I was making the right decision. Didn't think I knew what I was going to do. Knew I was going to fail. And I became so focused on attempting to prove them wrong that I was more focused on not failing than I was focused on succeeding. And what I learned then later on in life when I started going through leadership training, that what you focus on the most is that what you manifest. So if I'm focused on not failing, what do you think I'm showing? More opportunities for me to fail.
Right. Exactly.
It was at that moment I realized that failing wasn't so bad because, I go back to work. Shoot, I've been working all this other time. What's the difference?
Yeah, what's the difference?
Bankruptcy no big deal. I mean, shoot, we had a president had like 20 bankruptcies, so it's not a big deal anymore.
Most powerful man in the entire free world had the worst credit in the
yeah, he probably like a 540 credit score.
Yeah,
Personal credit. Yeah, but and then how many artists we've seen, have filed bankruptcy, time and time. I mean, look at it. We got 50 Cent. He filed a bankruptcy that he go trademark somebody else's business.
Yeah.
So
it happens all the time.
Bankruptcy wasn't that big a deal. What I also realized though, like, okay, I'm focusing on the wrong thing. And what I did though, I changed my approach. One of the first things I did, I was on the phone talking to my creditors, and I was like, "Oh, look, man, you want your money? I want to give you your money. I need customers in order to do that." And I explained to them, "Let me really explain to you what I do." And two of my creditors got me my first clients, and that was the beginning of the change. That was because now my focus has shifted.
I like that. You want your money? Help me make some money.
Yes. Everybody wants to get paid. Make no mistake about it. Everybody wants to get paid. You want your money? I want to give you your money. But this is where I'm at now. If you can help me out, I'm brand new. You can help me out. Let's see where we can get to. And that began to change things. So as I learned, what I focus on was going to expand, and that's what we go through. So not only do we have the Wibo workshop, which is a 10-week workshop that's going to be in Philadelphia starting next month. We also have, at the end of that, we have what we call the Entrepreneurial Mindset Program, where we work on help you deal with the mindset of growing a profitable business. What you're going to do when fear shows up? What are you going to do when people are doubting you? What's going to be the conversation that's going to be in your head during that time? And how do you change and shift that conversation so that you can keep pushing on? Okay, so that's part of our what we call our entrepreneurial ecosystem, of making certain that our graduates become successful. Yes.
Well, now and Stephen, for our final question, and just so people know, who exactly can attend these classes?
Anyone with a business idea and is passionate about starting a business. This is something they have done a little bit of, maybe some research, and had done a lot. And even if you're currently running a business and you want to improve your current business as well. What we don't have the time to do is explore a business you may want to run. I mean, there's some stuff we could send you to help you do that, but in order to attend the workshop, you must have a business idea or concept ready that you want to execute. And I will always say it should be something that you have some knowledge of, some experience with, and definitely a passion.
I love it. I love it.
No, we're not. Our focus is not to toss anyone out. We're not looking to exclude people. We're looking to include people, definitely people of color, definitely women, definitely veterans, definitely those who have just re-entered our society again. We're looking to include all of those. I mean, anyone can take the workshop, but make no mistake, we definitely looking to talk to those particular individuals. Definitely, we want them in the workshop. We want them to grow their business. We want to see them 20 years from now running a successful business like some of our other graduates are. I always have a special place for those who've been running the business for 15, 20 years, 25, 30 years, because the longest I ran a company was 10 years. That was it. That's as long as I ran. 2 for 5 years and 1 for 10. That's it. I got to add up 3 businesses to equal 20 years. For those who ran a business for 20 years, that means they have survived several economic downturns and a pandemic.
Right.
And to still be in business is a fortitude of really something special, So, if you think that let me just break this down. If you think that your job is providing you the best security, right, and the best place for you to be, then that is so. But if you have something that's been in the back of your mind that you really want to be doing, if you love baking and every time you show up at the office, you got cupcakes and cookies, and people are asking you to bake stuff for the holidays, and you get more joy out of baking than you get out of being an accountant or being someone's receptionist or being someone's administrative assistant, then you need to be in Wibo. It's time.
I like that. Look, I like that. He said it is time. And honestly, if you want to come check us out, we'll actually be at Black Label Con coming up right on the 14th of August. For those
I will be there.
Listen, and we got something really special. We're gonna wait till the next info session before we give an exact announcement as to what's going on at Black Label Con. But I just got word while we were literally in the live stream. My man, the head of Black Label Con, Eric Cooper, is talking to the Philadelphia Tribune right now, and he's spreading the message about what we are doing with Wibo at his convention and with Head Nerds in Charge, and we're bringing the community together to help us build these businesses. And y'all know how big the Philadelphia Tribune is here in the city, so the message is getting out, and we're super excited. Eric is literally doing the interview right now, so you're going to hear more about this. You're going to hear more about it right here on HNIC channel and platform. You're definitely going to hear more about it from Steven. And we got some other people that we're going to be bringing on throughout the months, well into September, and we're going to be talking more about this. So look, tell your friends, let them know to come on, get on this stream. And if you got a business idea, if you have a concept, if you have an interest, if you've been scared, come bring your questions, because you got the subject matter experts right here. And we giving
let me stop for 1 second. I'm not the subject matter expert. What makes our program work is that we have a network of business owners who serve as our discussion leaders, as our work group leaders.
Gotcha.
So you don't just hear from me. You hear very little from me. You hear from me maybe the first week. After that, you're going to hear from 10 to 12 other business owners. So you get to hear experiences of people who are actually out there daily doing this. And not only do you get to hear it, they're with you. You can contact them even after you graduate. So the whole thing is that we also have what we call the Business Advisory Council, which is another group of subject matter experts in different verticals. They're in maybe branding or marketing or legal or financial. And if you got a specific business problem, you can bring that to them and they can assist you. That's why I say, this is a whole ecosystem, because it's not just, you spend your 10 weeks with us and, like I said, I'm not going to be the main one you're hearing from. You're going to hear some other very successful and astute business owners as well who look like us. Some of them look like us, not all of them, but you're going to run into some who look like us. You're going to run into other women business owners. 90% of our workshops right now are women. Black women definitely are the fastest growing entrepreneurs in the country. The other side of that, you're also the ones generating the lowest amount of receipts, and we want to change that. We want you to charge what your product or service is really worth. And that's what we're working on, when we have that type of conversation when it comes to pricing and stuff. But, the folks, and then on top of that, we have another additional 31 workshop courses that you can take online at any time to help you grow your business. There are 3 phases to the business. There's a startup phase, which is what we experienced last night. That was a startup phase where he's doing 99% of the work in the business, and he couldn't do what he wanted to do because he's spending 99% doing everything in the business. There's the growth phase where you start to put key people in place to do the things that you don't want to do, so you can focus on growing the business, which means you may want to franchise the business. You may want to bring up other products that will serve, expand into new markets. That's growing the business. And then there's the exit strategy of the business, where you're looking at the business 5, 10, 15 years from now and say, do I want to run this business? Do I want to turn it over to my children? Do I want to sell? What do I want to do with it? So we are there to work with you through all 3 phases. Our goal is that you start, execute, get out there, start doing business. If you think that you need office space and all this other stuff, I'm here to tell you that you don't. I want to just briefly talk about a young lady who's a good friend of mine. Her company's called Miss Buzz, and she does what you call pomfret fries with different sauces. She started off with just a couple of regular fryers, going to events, outdoor events, and doing her thing. A few years later, she got enough money and investor together to actually have a food truck, which is what she has now. And now she also has employees. That's how you grow a business. You don't have restaurant money to start off with. Well, what can you do? Can you start a food cart? You start somewhere and you grow. I started my first company in my dining room. I didn't have $250,000 to go get office space, and glad I didn't, because I learned that money does not make a successful business. It's what to do with money. If you don't know what to do with money, then you're not going to be successful. Just think about people who don't have any financial literacy, and they win the lottery and they're broke 5 years later. Just because you get more money don't equal more success. It's learning what to do with the resource that you have that's going to help you create and build a growing, profitable business.
And that is exactly how everybody needs to have that kind of mentality. It doesn't matter if you have multi-millions, you can start somewhere.
Yes.
So that's where we're going to pick it up 2 weeks from now, same time, same station, and y'all going to make sure to join us. This coming up, not the next Thursday, but the Thursday after that. We're going to do it around this exact same time. And between that time, we'll be preparing for Black Label Con. We're going to be preparing for our next info stream. And we thank y'all for sticking around. Stephen, thank you for taking the time to talk to our
my
listeners.
Pleasure, man.
Listen,
yeah, you know I'm a fan of you guys.
Listen, I'm about to say, you usually in the Wednesday show, so it's dope to finally have you to sit down and have this conversation with you, because it's such an important one, especially for the community, but for everybody as a whole. And even for us, we taking pointers along this road too, because a brother trying to expand the brand.
Definitely.
We gonna talk, and I guess they already showing you love, saying bye, Steve.
Thank you. Well, I definitely want to the two gentlemen who run the cons. I definitely want to let's have a sit down. I heard. I'm first of all, I'm excited. I'm always excited to see someone look like us start something like that, and I understand the growing pains. And I read, I listened to all the comments, and like anything else, the customer is going to always have an opinion. And you're not going to ever satisfy 100% of your customer base.
Right.
But there's always some ways you can do it better. And I would be honest with you, the one thing that scared me the most was when he said he's working with a volunteer staff. Yeah. It's very hard to sustain a growing business with a volunteer staff, so we got to sit down and talk about, this is how you're going to raise the money you need to have a good paid staff so that these things don't happen again. Man, like I said, I was serious when I said I got a seat for him. In the next Wibo cohort.
I can tell you right now, one of them is watching, and he already hit me up on a DM and said, "Hey, I want to sit down with Wibo." So,
okay.
Look, listen, we already got one. Now, I'm gonna reach out to the other one, and we're gonna get a chance to collaborate. We maybe even be able to have that conversation sooner than later.
Yeah, because it's important that these organizations grow and thrive, because it gives our people somewhere to launch their ideas, launch their businesses. There are going to be some people going to be buying some booths there because they want to work on their, take their hustle a little bit more mainstream. So they want to be there. I always got a kick when I would go to San Diego Comic-Con. I find a black vendor, I'm buying it no matter what it was. I bought a bunch of sci-fi books and stuff from different black vendors because I'm glad you're there. Man, if you spent the kind of money to be there, I know you spend a serious grip of money to have a booth at San Diego.
At San Diego or New York, yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm definitely, spending some money with you, man. Yeah, I want to hear all about it. Him on your mailing list, hit me up. Let me know what's coming up. That's important. It's also important, also, as I said, we was an ecosystem. So we purchase from each other. We do support one another. I always purchase first from Wibo graduates. That's my number one thing. Matter of fact, we just had a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and I made certain that the food and the desserts came from Wibo vendors. That's what I'm always focused on, is that we consistently do business with our own, and I'm not going to talk about some of the myths that go out there about the dollar in the black community, because there's no studies that substantiate all of that. But what I'm going to say, that there is nothing wrong with opportunities where we can support one another if we see them growing. I see the Facebook memes where they say, instead of having a baby shower, let's have business birthing showers and stuff. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that sounds cool and fun. No, just find a way. If that black company doesn't fit your market, and someone who would benefit, then hit them up, let them know about it. Stuff like that. I mean, every black business every Wibo based business I'm not their target customer. Make no mistake about it. But if I can find a way to support you, I will. I came across one of our, and actually, Philadelphia is not the first city that we're going to be in, ladies and gentlemen. We are in Bridgeport, Connecticut. We have a cohort up there. We're in St. Louis, Missouri. I believe we got someone on from Waco, Texas. I think we got our affiliate partner from Waco, Texas. I think I saw Rocky Miller jump in on the comments. He runs the Wibo affiliate in Waco. We're in Shreveport, Louisiana as well. And starting next year, we'll also be in Annapolis, Maryland. And what we are focused on is being in more communities underserved, like some of the communities that we're in now. I tell you right now, my focus is make sure that we have a Wibo workshop in every city that had a Black Wall Street that was destroyed. I'm talking Tulsa, I'm talking Rosewood. I mean, my thing is we're gonna bring back these Black Wall Streets. You know, we're not creating unicorn sexy businesses. We're creating sustainable businesses that you can pass on to your children, that will be around when your grandchildren are still there. You know, and that's our focus, because when we do that, we will spend less time killing one another, robbing one another, and deal with some of the other nonsense in this country. Let's focus on our own and forget about some of the stuff that this country. Let's forget about these Karens. Stop giving them so much press, and let's give some of our own press for let's do the next thing, create the next great business.
And on that
and
note,
just because and last thing, and just because you're starting a neighborhood business doesn't mean it can't build $1 million business. You can be a hairdresser and build $1 million brand.
Yo, that's real.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Listen, y'all, I can't look, there's no better way to say it. Y'all got to be back for the next info session. That's just as simple as it is. Or come down to Black Label Con. But one way or another, what we're trying to do is we're trying to take your ideas, dreams, and aspirations and bring them to fruition. Now, here's the opportunity to do so, especially through the Wibo program. So I want you guys to come back on the next info session, or let me know if you come to Black Label Con. We'll come right over and we'll speak to you direct.
And for those who are ready, give them that website, WiboPhilly.org.
Listen, I'm gonna bring it right up. Hold on. We're gonna pull it right up again. Y'all see it right in the corner, WiboPhilly.org. And make sure that you know that this is only a 10-week course. And it starts September 14th. And I know y'all ready. I know you're ready. So it's here, it's available, and we're looking for as many as we can to be able to take this workshop. Stephen, again, thank you so much, good brother. And we appreciate you, and we can't wait to have you back in the next 2 weeks. All right?
All right. Glad to be here.
Now, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And you know your boy, I'm always going to leave you with a little something to keep your mind right.
King of the jungle. How?
Here we go. Hold on. It's better when you do it right.
If the lion is the king of the jungle, how can he be the king of the jungle? If he's not the biggest, the elephant is probably one of the biggest. He can't be the fastest because that's a cheetah. He can't be the smartest. So he's not the biggest, the fastest, or the smartest. So how does a lion become the king of the jungle? His mentality. That's the only difference of a lion and an elephant. When a lion walks up and sees an elephant, he thinks lunch. An elephant thinks run. And it's all mentality. Because when a male lion walks up, he may be outnumbered by a pack of hyenas, but I'm king of my jungle because of my mentality.
What happens when you're a gazelle and you're not being pushed, you're not being prodded, you're not given a reward, nobody's encouraging you? What happens when you're a gazelle and the lion's not chasing you anymore? You stop running. But what happens when you're a lion? When you are a lion, it does not make a difference. You realize that if your family is going to eat, that if that pack of lions is to survive, then you gotta go hunt. A part of being a beast just ain't eating a gazelle. A part of being a beast is the hunts. It's the hunt that they're excited about. They like to see the gazelles run. Then boom, they take off. Because real lions like to hunt. They love the process just as much as they love the prize. And some of y'all just want to score. You don't like the process. You're not in love with the process.
A true hunter's goal is not the prize. A true hunter's goal is to hunt. That's what they live for. They live to hunt. They don't just live to catch it. It's the whole process. When you are a true hunter, you don't go by time, you go by the gazelle. When you are a true hunter, you hunt until you get a gazelle, and you don't stop until you get one. And then you get another, and then you get another, and you get another.
If you're gonna do what you say you're gonna do, be what you say you're gonna be, you're gonna have to lion me out.
You a gazelle, you gonna come up short. You a gazelle, you gonna have an average experience. You a student, I need you in lion mode. You an entrepreneur, I need you in lion mode. You trying to lose weight, lion mode. You can't do nothing significant in gazelle mode, nothing. Nothing impressive happens in gazelle mode. Nothing happens in run mode, give up mode, quit mode, scared mode, fearful mode, nothing happens. Everything happens in lion mode like I'm coming to get you.